Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Ting, and I help you learn Chinese in a simple and practical way. In today's lesson, we're going to learn a very natural Chinese expression, 不怎么 and 没怎么. These structures do not mean completely not. Instead, they describe something happening at a low degree or low frequency. Native speakers use this all the time in daily conversations. I'll explain everything clearly in English with simple Chinese examples, so it's easy to follow. You can also turn on subtitles and choose your preferred language. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. So today we're diving straight into a grammar point that is literally going to transform your Chinese. If you're studying for HSK3, this is exactly how you cross that bridge from sounding like you're reading a textbook to sounding like a natural native speaker.
Absolutely. Today's Learn Grammar Easily session is focused entirely on one super specific, incredibly common sentence structure. We're going to master 不没怎么. So get ready and let's jump right in.
All right, let me just throw a quick question out there for you. Imagine somebody asks if you like playing basketball or maybe if you eat spicy food, but your answer isn't a hard no, and it definitely isn't a yes. How do you actually say not really or not very much in Chinese?
It's a really good question. Because, as beginners, we're always taught to use bu or may to just completely negate things, like I don't like it or I didn't go. But real life just isn't black and white like that. Sometimes you just need to express a really low degree of something. You want to soften it. You're not saying I hate spicy food. You're just saying I don't really eat it much. And that is exactly the gap we're filling today.
So, here is the golden formula. It's wonderfully simple. You just take 不 or 没 and you add the pronoun 怎么. Put them together, and they equal 程度低, which means a low degree. And what's actually really cool about this is how we're repurposing a word you definitely already know. You learned 怎么 way early on as a question word, meaning how, right? Like in 怎么去, how to go. But here, when you stick it right after a negation word like 不 or 没, it literally loses that question meaning entirely. It turns into an adverbial phrase showing that an action just doesn't happen to a high degree. It is literally the perfect way to say, not really. Okay, let's look at our first real-world example to see this in action. The sentence is 我不怎么能喝酒，喝一口啤酒，脸都会变红. Which translates to, I can't really drink much alcohol. If I drink one sip of beer, my face will turn red. I totally love this example. We definitely all know someone like this, right? Turning bright red like a tomato after just one sip. Notice how we're using 我不怎么 here. The speaker isn't saying they strictly forbid alcohol or that they literally can't drink a drop. They're just saying their capacity is at a very, very low degree. I don't really drink much. It just sounds so much more polite and conversational than a blunt, I don't drink. And this actually brilliantly illustrates the kind of context that usually follows this grammar point. Because you're establishing this low degree, it's supernatural to follow it up with a specific, maybe even funny consequence that proves your point.
Exactly. The setup is I don't really drink, and then the punchline is 喝一口啤酒，脸都会变红. Drink one sip of beer and the face turns red. That second half completely justifies the 不怎么 in the first half. When you pair this grammar structure with a descriptive little story like this, your Chinese is instantly going to sound incredibly authentic.
So, the one crucial takeaway for this first variation is this simple equation, 不怎么 plus a verb means I don't really do this action.
Right. And remember, because we're using 不, this structure is strictly for present habits, general truths, or ongoing abilities. Just like that drinking example, it's a general statement about their current alcohol tolerance. If you need to talk about a habit you currently don't do very often, 不怎么 is your phrase.
Okay, but what if we want to talk about the past? Let's check out our second example. The sentence is, 虽然我在美国学过3年汉语，但是没怎么和中国人说过话. This means, although I studied Chinese for 3 years in the US, I haven't really spoken with Chinese people. Wow, surrounded by textbooks, but way too awkward to actually speak. If that doesn't capture the ultimate language learning struggle, I really don't know what does. It's so relatable. But notice the shift here. We aren't using 不怎么 anymore. We are using 没怎么right before the verb phrase 说过话, which means spoken words. Let's really focus on the contrast here, because that's what makes this sentence so powerful. 学过3年，但是没怎么说过话. Studied for 3 years, but haven't really spoken.
It is a tragic but very common reality. This student spent a huge amount of time on theoretical study, 3 whole years, but the actual execution? The degree of actual speaking practice in the past? Incredibly low. By using maid-sama, they're acknowledging that speaking might have happened occasionally, maybe a hello here and there, but the frequency in the past was basically minimal.
So here is our one-sentence summary for this second setup. Meitama plus a verb equals I haven't really done this action in the past. It's a super logical system once you look at it this way. Just like mei is normally used to negate past actions in Chinese, meitama is specifically for indicating that a past action or experience just didn't happen very much. Say someone asks if you visited a lot of museums on your trip and you only popped into one for like 10 minutes. You'd absolutely use meitama to say you didn't really go to many. All right, moving on to section 2, interaction. Let's practice together.
Yep, it is your turn. Learning grammar is definitely not a spectator sport, so we've got a couple of scenarios for you to figure out. Let's jump into the first one.
Okay, here is your first prompt. The sentence is 我 blank, 所以很少去体育馆. That second half means so I rarely go to the gym. And your hint word for the blank is 运动, which means to exercise. So think about this scenario. Is this a general habit or is it a specific past event? You want to say, I don't really exercise much, so I rarely go to the gym. I literally want you to pause for a second and think of the answer. Which structure fits perfectly here? And here is the answer. 我不怎么运动，所以很少去体育馆. I don't really exercise much, so I rarely go to the gym. Did you get it? Because this sentence is describing a general, ongoing habit, just a low degree of physical activity right now in the present, we have to use 不怎么 followed by the verb 运动. It perfectly sets up the logic of why this person rarely visits the gym. Awesome job if you nailed it. Let's try one more just to really lock this in. Here's your second prompt. The sentence reads, 这次考试他 blank, 所以考得不好. The second half means, so he didn't test well. And your hint word for the blank is 准备, which means to prepare.
Oh man, the classic stressed student staring at a failing grade. We have definitely all been there. So, let's analyze the context. 这次考试 means this time's exam. The test has already happened, and he did not do well. We want to say, he didn't really prepare much for this exam. Which phrasing do we need?
Let's reveal the answer. It is, 这次考试他没怎么准备，所以考得不好. He didn't really prepare much for this exam, so he didn't do well.
Spot on. The absolute crucial clue here was the context of a completed event. Because that exam was already over, and the lack of preparation happened in the past, we have to use meizama followed by junbei. It highlights that the degree of his studying leading up to the test was just way too low.
Fantastic work today, everyone. Let's do a really quick rapid-fire review to summarize exactly what we covered in this explainer. Point number 1. Combining bu or mei with zama is your absolute secret weapon for expressing a low degree of something. It is the best way to say, not really. Point number 2. Use bu zama when you're talking about general habits, current abilities, or ongoing states, like not really being able to drink or not really liking exercise. And point number 3, switch over to meizama when you are referring to a past action or an experience that didn't happen very frequently, like not really speaking Chinese during 3 years of study or not really preparing for a past test. It really is that straightforward. You guys are doing amazing. Mastering these subtle little grammar points is exactly what will make your HSK3 Chinese sound so fluid and natural. Just keep practicing these structures. Try to notice when you can actually swap out a harsh no for a much softer not really.
And definitely stick around with us because our next explainer is going to be really fascinating. We are going to tackle interrogative pronouns used for non-mentionable or unclear people or things. I know, it sounds a bit complicated, right? But it's actually this brilliant way to navigate a conversation when you forget a word or when something is just better left unsaid.
Exactly. Like, how do you talk about a thingamajig or a whatchamacallit in native Chinese? You will have to join us next time to find out. Until then, keep up the great work and happy learning.
Great job finishing today's lesson. Now you know how to use 不怎么 和没怎么 to describe things in a softer and more natural way in Chinese. If you'd like more personalized speaking practice and guidance, you can book a trial lesson through my Preply link in the description. If this lesson helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next lesson. In the next video, we'll learn how Chinese question words can sometimes refer to unclear or unimportant people and things. See you next time.